I was experiencing the post-Sierra blues, and you might say the midlife crisis of my Thru-Hike. A lot of this series is focusing on my time on the PCT. In this episode, I fling myself into a few detours. So I'm going to lean into that and show you more of the people that I met on the margins of the trail and how that helped give me new life for my Thru-Hike. So me and a bunch of hikers ended up at this horse ranch where children were learning to be cowboys and dirty hikers were doing what they do.
This is what a charging station looks like in PCT town.
Trying to squeeze a few drops of electricity off the grid and getting junky food to bring back to trail. About this time, I just got the urge to break away from all this and do something different. So, when everybody hitched a ride to get back on trail, I picked a town on my map and stuck my thumb out on the side of the road. And then I got in this guy's car.
It's a clown show.
Well, it's worse than a clown show. It is embarrassing for America. And the Russians did this. They got Trump elected. You know they did. Oxford.
Cambridge Analytica?
Cambridge Analytica.
Yeah.
Fucking. Oh!
Well, we're off to a good start.
Isn't this cool?
This is awesome. Holy cow.
Look at that.
Whoa.
And there's a little trail over there, but it's very dangerous, very dangerous, very dangerous. Let me get a picture of it.
Wow, yeah.
And they discovered the gold from satellite because it's all microscopic. I was born in a copper mine in New Mexico.
When a stranger gives you a ride, you're entering their world, and you become audience to their worldview. Almost like you become the therapist and create a space for them to share their innermost thoughts.
The whole liberal movement, you're ruining it for everybody by going overboard.
Yeah.
Lies about COVID. It's just I'm tired of this whole thing. I'm tired of being lied to.
Yeah.
And it's not really about arguing with them on whether they're right or wrong. You're in a position to just listen and try to understand how this person came to hold the beliefs that they have. Steve here was disillusioned with America and distrustful of a lot of things, which was a common thread among right and left-leaning folks that gave me rides.
Now for this ride, you're gonna have to buy me a milkshake at Walker because there's only one cool place in Walker and it's called Walker Burger.
That's what I've heard. Okay, you'll get a milkshake.
Okay, that's where we're going.
Cool.
Okay, and this is weird and nobody knows it and you were never taught this in school and you should have been.
I proceeded to get a history lesson about the Michigan-Ohio War, which is actually pretty interesting. You should look it up.
Bye, Steve.
There goes Steve.
One of the more interesting, slightly provocative individuals I've met in a while.
Being in this position where you're receiving help from strangers across the political spectrum, it forces you to empathize with everyone. Everyone's got their story. And even if you disagree with them, more often than not, these people have a good heart. I think we forget that. We live in a tapestry with a million shades of gray.
Yep, this is what 2.5 months in the wilderness looks like. We're walking down the road here, making our way to the Walker Country Store where we'll be able to finish our resupply and hopefully figure out some kind of a ride.
I had gotten myself properly far off trail, and now I needed to find my way back. And that's when I met Buffalo Bill.
This guy pulled over first try, stuck my thumb out. This awesome school bus came out.
And then I stepped into Ramsey's custom school bus where he lived with his cat, Zara. Turns out he was on this badass nomadic adventure all around America. He had been on the open road for almost 2 years, working as a product manager remotely and going wherever his heart desired, joined by his co-pilot, Kristen.
Here at the bus yard. Never a dull day here. Man, this place is wild. Wild and awesome. Love it.
Ramsey wasn't following the typical playbook of life. He had traded possessions and stability for freedom and adventure.
Yeah, I see it right here, buddy. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Bye, Buffalo Bill.
I've kept in touch with him ever since that day.
I cannot believe that. I went outside the gas station. I saw a bus. I put my thumb up, and he just ripped to a stop in the shoulder. So, Buffalo Bill, thank you very much. You're the real deal, man. Keep living large. Keep enjoying life.
Anyway, there's a turnout. It's on this side. And then Black Bear runs in front of my car. I mean, I just inches from hitting it.
My next driver had just left a bad marriage situation, and she was proudly taking control of her life.
Oh my God. I'm like, thank you, Lord. And that was just the Lord continuing to tell me to get out of the situation I was in.
Yeah.
You know, that I got this. I got your back. You
Yeah.
can do this. A bear can live on its own. By herself, with her cubs. You can take care of yourself. We got you. You know?
Yeah.
And I was like, yes! Yes!
Hell yeah.
You don't even know I'm doing this all the time.
You might have noticed these drivers love to have their hands off the wheel.
You had the
Love
courage.
life.
You had the
Love
courage
life.
to
Love
just
life.
like go for it.
Let it go.
Let it
I've
go.
been able to do it. I've been.
The common thread among these folks that were picking me up on the side of the road was a fearlessness to be fiercely individual, to trust themselves and carve out their own path in the world. It was inspiring. And frankly, it put wind back in my sails. Solo hiking creates this special space. After walking for hours alone, hypnotized on your own steps and breaths, surrounded by wide open space, these thoughts start to bubble up from your subconscious. Things that you haven't thought about or examined in years. Funny memories, sad ones, regrets, and of course, cringy stuff that you did. And finally, you feel this kind of weightlessness, like you can examine all of that, free of judgment. And suddenly, you're not the center of the universe anymore. You recognize in a way that you are the same beautifully flawed thing that everything is. And it all is okay. I find it increasingly harder to access this space in the modern world when I'm plugged into social media and technology. There's this constant noise that drowns out that inner voice that can only be heard with enough empty time and space. And so that's partly why I'm hooked on solo hiking. I find it to be a form of therapy.
In 8 hours, Panda's picking us up in a private plane. We're gonna fly to San Francisco. Damn, this tree's got a nice booty. You got a nice booty tree. So Panda's gonna land on that airstrip there. And behind that is Lake Tahoe. Cars are flying.
Turns out I had a couple more detours in store. I wasn't joking about my friend Panda flying me to San Francisco.
1, 2, 3, or 5, and then pound at the end.
Make sure you get that pound at the end.
This is our pilot, guys.
Well, but, like,
Did you do pound?
I did.
Okay.
Don't we expect that to turn green or beep or something?
You would
I
definitely.
think it just turned green.
And it can handle all that safely.
Oh, cool, because you get it all here.
That was a rating that I earned in 2020.
Mr. Pandia doing his flight plan over here.
It's like no question.
Man, is it surreal to look down at the landscape from the air after 3 months on foot.
And we're off.
And suddenly I was in the tenderloin of San Francisco, plunging into the literal polar opposite of everything I had been experiencing. I got to my boy Uncle Andy's place.
It's Uncle Indy.
TV, fireplace, working, chair.
This is nice, man. Damn.
Uncle Andy's wine closet, of course. There had to be an actual one. All sauce.
Oh, yeah.
You've heard of all sauce.
Yeah.
It's a blend of red and white grapes. But this one has some depth, some like real complexity, brandiness. Cheers.
Cheers, dude.
Welcome to a city.
Thank you.
I would say this was 1 or 2 steps up from my usual trail diet. The next day we hit some balls. And we threw some balls. I was rusty at beer pong. And before I knew it, Panda was flying me back to where I'd left off on the trail. As if I had pressed a teleportation button for 48 hours
Downtown South Lake Tahoe.
and then just reappeared.
I think I'm gonna like this. Too
We're
much.
going live.
Yeah, we're going live.
We're
here,
going
man.
live.
Going live.
I don't even know if you can believe where you are right now, but we are live.
We are
One of the
actually
most
live.
beautiful places.
There you go. Perfect.
I spent the evening schooling fools at cornhole at South Lake Tahoe. And then I was back out in the woods. Day 93. Heather Lake. Wow.
Oh, hello, Lake Tahoe. I bet the cabin's off in that valley there.
My friend Peter had given me GPS coordinates for his backwoods cabin, which was a 5-mile side quest off the PCT.
I think we found the cabin. The cabin open. Ooh. Oh my god, the lights are all on. Peter, your cabin is awesome. This is a great reward for a 26-mile day. What a beautiful face I have found in this place that is.
Trust me, even editing this later, I'm half expecting an axe-murderer to come out of the woods. No horror movie plot twists, just a nice restful night at the cabin.
Sad to go, but thus is the nature of the wandering man.
And we've arrived at the 4th and final detour of this chapter. A rendezvous with my friend George.
to hit a rock.
Oh my god. Anyway, here's George. Yay! But the rental car broke, so now we gotta adventure to figure out how to get out of here. Whee!
Okay, George thought the rental car was broken, but it turns out he had just scooped up a lot of rocks in the undercarriage shield when crossing this river. So we got the rocks out, got back to the other side.
You know, we're only dripping mildly out of the front of the car.
Remember I had that train friend who told me about the cool curve in Cajon Pass? That was George,
She is.
and he was here to hang out and do some train exploring around the PCT.
Finally getting rid of the old bear can in Truckee. Oh, here it is. Holy shit. This is the train George is really excited about.
This is the California Zephyr, which runs once per day between Chicago and San Francisco. I rode this whole route with my parents when I was really young.
Kind of like an amazing infrastructural marvel that a lot of us ignore, so I think that's why it's cool to have a friend that's super into trains. Here he is. I got in the driver's seat because it was the only way to get the air conditioning working.
This is like the Amtrak commercial picture, basically.
It is, actually. Really nice.
It's like ride the California Zephyr. We'll take you to Truckee, California.
And then we went on to Donner Pass to check out the original Transcontinental Railroad.
Another thing that we'll see, if you see up there, do you see that big line of like shed? So that is the original Transcontinental Railroad. It's not actually active now. That's old tracks. But that's a rock slide shed.
Wow.
In 1862, President Lincoln signed the legislation to complete the Transcontinental Railroad, and by 1868, these tunnels were dug out, mostly by contract Chinese labor.
All right, we're walking through the tunnels.
There's a lot of history there that's worth looking into that I won't get into here. These tunnels were discontinued in 1993 when Union Pacific built a taller, more efficient tunnel. And since then, they've been reclaimed by graffiti artists and urban explorers. This was the kind of exploring that George and I did growing up in Chicago, before I ever put on a backpack and spent a night outside.
Around the snow wall. Oh yeah, that's way better than I thought it would be. Holy shit.
There, like a power cord.
Nice, you just have to rappel backwards off of that and then go through the snow crack.
Yeah.
This is a squeeze.
Oh, it's so good. Perrier. It's naturally carbonated coming out the ground.
All right.
Peace, dude. Peace out. See ya. There goes George. All right, time to figure out how to get back on the PCT here at the Donner Summit. I'm already feeling like I need to do something with my hands.
In the excitement of the rental car river crossing, I set my poles against a tree and then just completely forgot about them.
Like there's something missing. Where's that extra propulsion that I give myself with the push of the pole? So they do something after all. So now I'm gonna be weirdly phantom pole syndrome.
I was done with detours for a little while. I was ready to switch into third gear and start cranking through Northern California.